Imagine loving someone so deeply that you trust them with every part of your soul. Imagine giving them your loyalty, your time, your heart only, to wake up one morning and see them tear you apart in front of the entire world. That's what happened to me. My girlfriend didn't just betray me in private. She went on Facebook and told everyone, "I cheated because you're boring as hell in bed." Stay with me till the end of this story, because what happened next was not just about heartbreak, it was about public humiliation, anger, and the painful road of learning self-respect. That evening felt normal. I came home tired, dropped my bag on the couch, and looked forward to dinner with her. She was sitting on the bed, phone in hand, laughing at something. I thought she was just chatting with her friends. I asked how her day was. She gave short answers, not really looking at me. Her voice carried no warmth, no affection. I told myself she might just be tired. I went to bed earlier than usual. I remember lying there, staring at the ceiling, feeling something heavy in the air. Something was off, but I couldn't put it into words. The next morning, everything collapsed. My phone buzzed endlessly. Notifications, tags, screenshots, messages. My heart sank before I even opened them. There it was, her Facebook post. Public, loud, cruel. "I cheated because you're boring as hell in bed." I froze. My chest felt like it was being crushed. My hands shook so hard I could barely hold the phone. Tears blurred my vision. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the humiliation. She didn't whisper this to me in anger. She broadcasted it to everyone we knew, friends, co-workers, even distant relatives. People I hadn't spoken to in years were reacting, commenting, gossiping. Some laughed, some were shocked. A few sent me messages asking if it was real, but no one understood the storm I was drowning in. That morning, I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt destroyed. Not just as a boyfriend, but as a man. I wanted to disappear, to vanish where no one could see me or whisper about me. But deep down, I knew this was only the beginning of a nightmare I never signed up for. The hours after the post were unbearable. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Every ping was a reminder that my private life had become a circus. Friends messaged me with awkward words like, "Are you okay?" Some added jokes, trying to lighten the mood, but their words cut deeper. Others sent pitying emojis that only made me feel smaller. Walking outside became terrifying. Every glance felt like judgment. Every whisper felt like laughter aimed at me. I couldn't tell if people were actually talking about me, or if it was all in my head, but the weight of humiliation pressed down on me like a stone. That evening, I went home and saw her. She was calm, almost proud. She looked at me with no shame, no guilt. I asked her, trembling, "How could you do this to me? How could you tell the whole world?" She looked me in the eyes and said coldly, "Because you never excited me, you're boring." Those words were worse than the Facebook post. They weren't just a confession. They were a knife, twisted with intention. I realized then it wasn't about me not being enough. It was about her cruelty, her hunger for attention. She wanted to break me down and make herself look powerful. That night, I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling again. But this time, the man who had once trusted her was gone. All that remained was someone broken, unsure if he could ever trust again. Still, deep inside, a small voice whispered, "This isn't the end. This pain will not define you forever." A few days later, I gathered the courage to confront her properly. Not with anger, not with screaming, but with calm questions. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. My hands shook, but I steadied my voice. "Why did you do it?" I asked. "If you were unhappy, why not just leave? Why destroy me like this?" She sighed, rolled her eyes, and said, "Because leaving quietly wouldn't make a difference. This way, everyone knows the truth about you. The truth about me." Those words echoed in my head. What truth? That I loved her, that I was loyal, that I tried my best. I realized in that moment, it wasn't about truth, it was about control. She wanted to be the one with the final word, the one who painted me as weak so she could feel strong. And suddenly, my heartbreak turned into clarity. This wasn't love. This wasn't even anger. It was cruelty, plain and simple. She had been planning her exit, and she wanted it loud, messy, and humiliating. For the first time, I looked at her and saw a stranger who never cared for me, only for the power she got from breaking me down. I walked away from that conversation knowing something important. Her actions said more about her than they ever could about me. The days that followed were dark. I felt like a ghost in my own life. One avoided people, skipped gatherings, and even deleted my Facebook account just to escape the constant whispers. But slowly, something shifted. A close friend reached out not with pity, but with honesty. He said, "You're not boring, you're just real. And anyone who can't value that doesn't deserve you." His words stayed with me. I started realizing that her betrayal didn't mean I was worthless. It meant she couldn't appreciate the kind of love I gave. I began focusing on myself. I read books. I went for long walks. I even started hitting the gym, not for revenge, but to rebuild my strength. Some nights, I still cried. Some mornings, I still woke up with that crushing weight on my chest. Healing wasn't instant. It was slow, painful, and messy. But step by step, I was reclaiming my dignity. The more I looked back, the more I understood. She exposed her own ugliness, not mine. And I refused to carry her cruelty as my burden any longer. Months later, I felt like a different man. Not completely healed, but stronger, wiser, and more aware of my worth. I realized something powerful. Betrayal is not a reflection of who you are, but of who they are. Her Facebook post didn't define MIT, revealed her character. I learned to stand tall again. I learned that dignity is something no one can take unless you hand it over. And most importantly, I learned that love should never come with humiliation attached. Today, I share this story, not for pity, but for strength. For anyone who has been betrayed, shamed, or broken, remember, your value is not in someone else's cruel words. Your value is in the way you rise again. And that's exactly what I did. I rose. Never let someone's betrayal define your worth. Healing begins the moment you choose self-respect.